The Jedi Order was one of the most ancient and important institutions in the Star Wars galaxy. By the time of the Clone Wars, for as long as anyone could remember, that order had been led by Grandmaster Yoda. Yoda held the title of Grandmaster for centuries, and he became so synonymous with the role that most Jedi of his time couldn't even imagine someone else being Grandmaster. But Yoda, obviously, wasn't the first Grandmaster of the Jedi Order. He had many predecessors, some similarly legendary and some not. In this video, we'll be discussing all the Grandmasters of the old Jedi Order, from the least impressive to the most legendary.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The rank of Grandmaster was the highest in the Jedi Order, afforded to a single Jedi Master who served as the formal leader of the Order. The rank Grandmaster could only be conferred by a unanimous vote of the Jedi High Council, and usually only to a member of said council. Grandmasters typically served for life, although they always had the option to step down. The Grandmaster acted as the voice of the Jedi Order, and they could cast a tie-breaking vote during Jedi Council sessions. The Jedi Grandmaster usually also held the title of Master of the Order, the title given to the leader of the Jedi Council, but this wasn't always the case. During the Battle of Naboo, for instance, while Yoda was Grandmaster, Mace Windu was the Master of the Order. There are 7 known Grandmasters of the Jedi Order, and we're going to begin at the bottom, with one Grandmaster who was only alright. We'll begin with Grandmaster Zim, who led the Jedi Order during the Great Galactic War. Zim was a Keldor, and not much is known about his career as Grandmaster. At the very least though, his legacy was tainted by some pretty spectacular failures. Zim led the Jedi Order in fighting alongside the Republic in the Great Galactic War, but the Republic lost that war badly, and Zim's miscalculations were part of the reason why. When the Sith proposed a peace summit on Alderaan as a diversion for their planned attack on Coruscant, Zim fell for it, attending the Alderaan summit and even advising the Supreme Chancellor to stay on Coruscant, where the Chancellor would be murdered by the Sith during the sacking of Coruscant. In Zim's absence, Coruscant was captured by the Sith, and the Jedi Temple was destroyed, and the Republic was ultimately forced to sign the Treaty of Coruscant and cede half the galaxy to the Sith. Zim was killed by a bounty hunter not long after the treaty was signed, an ignoble end to the Grandmaster's career. A good ways above Zim, at the bottom of the good category, we have Grandmaster Satele Shan, Zim's successor. Satele, a direct descendant of Revan and Bastila Shan, rebuilt the Jedi Order during the Cold War, relocating the Jedi Temple to Tython and overseeing several operations against the Sith. Satele Shan had many successes over the course of her career. She not only rebuilt the Order, but also played a key role in stabilizing the Republic and stopping several Sith threats. She was instrumental in a few defeats of Darth Vitiate, and she also helped stop her ancestor, the reborn Darth Revan, during the Revanite crisis. But for all her victories, Satele Shan could only do so much, and after the Internal Empire's conquest of the galaxy, she became disillusioned with pretty much everything. She ultimately gave up the title of Grandmaster, left the Jedi Order, and went into exile, though she would later resurface to help later generations of Jedi heroes battle crises. This decision to forsake the Order hurts her a bit in the rankings, but on the whole, Satele did what she could with a crumbling Jedi Order. Above Satele Shan, we have the oldest known Jedi Grandmaster, Aldrysta Pinna, also known as the Green Blade. Pinna lived 24,500 years before the time of the Clone Wars, in an age when the Jedi Order was far different than what you might be familiar with. Grandmaster Pinna himself was an example of this. Despite being the Grandmaster, he didn't spend all that much time on Ossus, Jedi homeworld, and instead wandered the remote Outer Rim. Pinna was also a warrior at heart, known for wielding twin force-imbued katanas that glowed with a green light, hence his nom de guerre. Pinna's longing for battle saw him take direct command of Jedi forces in the First Great Schism, personally taking to the field during battles against the legions of Leto. Pinna and the Jedi crushed the legions as Dark Jedi in battles on Chandrila, Brental IV, Medalos, Coruscant, and finally Colomus, where Pinna himself killed Zendor, the leader of the legions. Pinna then set out to track down Zendor's second-in-command, Arden Lyn, so as to end the Dark Jedi threat forever. He pursued her into the unknown regions, where the two of them disappeared. It eventually came out that Pinna tracked Lyn down to the remote planet Irkalla, where Lin destroyed the Grandmaster's swords and killed him, only for Pinner to use the Force to put her into a stasis as he died. At the top of the good category, we have a much later Grandmaster, Master Faye Kovan. Grandmaster Kovan was a Genet who served in the immediate aftermath of the 7th Battle of Ruusan, and she oversaw the implementation of the Ruusan Reformation and the rebuilding of the Republic. Kovan became Grandmaster in the immediate aftermath of the New Sith Wars, and in the preceding years, she had fought in the conflict's final chapters. During the final centuries of the New Sith Wars, the Grandmaster was usually also the Supreme Chancellor, since the Jedi were pretty much all that was holding the Republic together at that point. Consequently, Kovan's predecessors had all had to juggle the duties of Jedi Grandmaster with the duties of Republic political power and military command. Faye Kovan was the first Grandmaster in centuries to not also have effective control over the Republic, and she spent much of her career reorganizing the Jedi Order and bringing it into the new post-Ruusan Republic Golden Age. Faye Kovan helped the galaxy transition from a millennium of war to a new age of peace, and she was also remembered fondly by the Jedi for, among other things, re-standardizing Jedi training after the chaos of the new Sith Wars. Kovan's exact term is unknown, but it started in around 1000 BBY and lasted for over a century, as Yoda remembered her from his days as a Jedi initiate. And now it's time to move on to the legends, beginning with the Grandmaster you're likely the most familiar with, Yoda. Yoda needs no introduction. He served as Grandmaster for centuries, becoming one of the wisest and most renowned Jedi in the Order's history. Yoda mostly presided over an age of peace, and he tirelessly worked to keep the Jedi Order and the Republic strong throughout it. Towards the end of his life, however, both steadily succumbed to the manipulations of the Sith, and Yoda ultimately failed to prevent the Sith from seizing control of the Republic and destroying the Jedi Order. Yoda's legacy is thus somewhat controversial, but on the whole, we think the old master deserves a high ranking. He kept the peace for centuries and did more to help the people of the galaxy than most beings could cram into their brief lives. Most importantly though, despite Yoda's failures, he was ultimately instrumental in bringing about the final defeat of the Sith and the rebirth of the Jedi Order. In the long run, his actions helped save the galaxy. We'd say that makes him pretty legendary. But there were two Jedi Masters that were even more legendary than Yoda. One was Beal Doctavis, who we actually already talked about in our video about the Republic's Supreme Chancellors. Doctavis lent his name to an entire chapter of galactic history, the Doctavis era, and for good reason. Doctavis lived circa 11,000 BBY toward the end of the Pius Dea era, and as Grand Master, he played a crucial role in orchestrating the defeat of the Pius Dea and retaking control of the Republic from them. After the cult's defeat, Doctavis became the Supreme Chancellor, and his leadership of both the Republic and Jedi Order played a major role in how quickly the galaxy was able to rebound from the Pius Dea era. Doctavis was remembered as one of the greatest Supreme Chancellors of all time, and he was a great Jedi Grandmaster as well. And lastly, at the top of the list, we have Grandmaster Nomi Sunrider. Nomi rose to power fairly quickly. She joined the Jedi Order as an adult after the death of her husband, just a few years before the Great Sith War, and she was named Grandmaster only about 10 years after she joined the Jedi Order. But this quick rise was a testament to Nomi's greatness. Though she came late to the Force, she was incredibly gifted, especially in the art of battle meditation. Nomi Sunrider was firmly committed to the way of the light, and she fought in crucial battles during the Nardist Revolt and Great Sith War, becoming one of the greatest Jedi heroes of her age. The Great Sith War did grievous damage to the Jedi Order, killing many Jedi Masters and seeing the destruction of Ossus, the Jedi homeworld. In its aftermath, the Order needed to be rebuilt pretty much from the ground up. The task of overseeing this process ultimately fell to Nomi, who was made Grand Master about a decade after the war's end. Nomi Sunrider oversaw the rebuilding of the Jedi Order, gathering the Jedi who were scattered during the war and moving the Order's headquarters to a new Jedi temple on Coruscant. She accomplished a shocking amount given how brief her tenure seems to have been, and how much the Order had lost in the war. Nomi Sunrider's ultimate fate is unknown, but her legacy was honored for millennia after by the Jedi Order, which would not have survived the Great Sith War without her. So that's our look at all the known Grandmasters of the Jedi Order. But what do you think? Would you like to see more videos about any of these Jedi? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.